is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning into my DIY carnival look. If you want to see how I got this look, please keep watching. This video is well overdue, so I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get started. So first we're going to start with the materials that I used. I didn't use everything that's on this table, but I'm going to mention it anyways. Everything that can be linked will be linked in the description box. So I have some foam board from the dollar store, some sticks, a box cutter, scissors, elastic band, glue, feathers that were purchased from Amazon as well as AliExpress, fabric to wrap the wings in, the stones to put on the costume, and the rooster feathers, which I also got from AliExpress to accent the wings. So here I am just getting started with the suit. The suit I got from Pretty Little Thing. I believe it's a swimsuit, but it was actually really good material to use for the costume. These are all the gems that I used. I didn't end up using the blue ones. The colors for our band were blue, royal blue, and green, or turquoise, royal blue, and green, I'm sorry. And I ended up not using the blue ones because I didn't like how they looked on there, but I was still going to incorporate the blue in my wings, so I was fine leaving those out. So this is just me kind of opening everything up and getting started. I had to go get a chair because being on the floor was not the move, and this ended up being much easier for me to do. So here I'm just sorting out the gems into different piles. I thought this would help because I wanted to do a pattern, and I wanted to see how I wanted to incorporate each different shape. So I just kept them separate rather than mixing them all together. As you can see, the suit is kind of stretched out over the table. You want to do that because, of course, the suit will be stretched out over your body. So you want to make sure that it is stretched when you are working on it so that when it pulls back or retracts, the jewels are in the right places and are secure on the fabric. As you can see, I'm kind of just laying the stones out on there in the pattern that I want. At first I was starting with one side, but then I discovered that if I wanted to make sure I was using each one efficiently, I didn't want to have to start over or run out by only doing one side. So I decided to do both sides at the same time, so I would know that the patterns matched and that I had enough to get through both sides. So I sped all this up because it's kind of just, self-explanatory, kind of repetitive, just, filling it up with however you want your jewels to be and your stones. And now you can see that I went ahead and finished both sides. Here I was just kind of playing with placement and size of gems, the ones I didn't use, just trying to see what I liked and what I didn't like. I ended up going with, I felt like it was missing something, so I ended up just going back and putting those smaller, tinier stones just scattered around the spaces in between the larger stones, and I really think it came out really nice. So here I'm going to start gluing down the gems. This was probably the most difficult part of this whole thing because at this point I was tired, I was just ready to be done, and then I started having difficulty with the glue. I would describe this glue as hot glue, just not hot, and so it had the same when you're gluing something and then it gets stringy and it starts touching other things and dragging other things around, which you will see has happened to me in the video. It was very difficult to use, so that's why I tried to start using tweezers as well as a stick to apply it. You can buy applicator tips for the glue, and I would definitely recommend that. I only use this glue because it was what I've seen other people use in their videos, but I think you'd be just as well off if you used super glue or something that wasn't stringy and didn't move around as much. So I ended up just pushing through and getting done, but I would definitely recommend using a different glue just for this purpose if you don't intend to buy the applicators or anything like that. So now we're going to move on to the wings. So I was inspired by someone else's video, and I forget, I'll probably put it here or link her in the description box, but basically she inspired me to do these type of wings. So essentially you do, like, she called it a jelly bean, I feel like it's a giant Cheeto. So you're gonna just draw a giant Cheeto on your poster board, and then you want to do this kind of proportion to your body. I didn't think about it at the time, but it kind of ended up working out perfectly. So just kind of make sure you're doing a proportional one to your body. So you're going to draw that and then cut it out. You don't have to worry about the edges being perfect or anything because you're going to wrap it in the fabric. So the roughness around the cutting is fine. This was another difficult part of the process, but basically here I was trying to get the marks of where the holes would need to go for me to wear it as a backpack. I definitely did the most. It's very much more simple than I made it to be. I would just say do a guesstimate on where you think the hole should be and you'll be fine. I really just overthought it and did too much, but it ended up working out for me. But basically I just punched the holes out using the pencil that I was using, and you definitely don't have to stick the string in now. You would do that after you wrap and complete your wings, but I was still paranoid and just trying to figure out if it was going to fit correctly, and once I did that I moved on to the next step, but this is definitely not needed at this stage. Forgot to do the smaller Cheetos, if you will. This was to give the wings some like height and some like to look more voluminous. Essentially, you'll see later it'll make more sense once I put it on the board, but it essentially gave them like more height and made it look fuller and like higher and better. So you'll see that in a second. But again, these don't have to be perfect. They can be rough because they're going to be wrapped in the fabric. See, now you can see how it's going to look on top of the wing structure, and again you would put the feathers around, which you're going to see as well, and that gives it some height. I do not show myself wrapping this, so you're going to see some editing magic where it's just going to be magically wrapped. That was also difficult. If I had to do it again, I would just cut the fabric in the shape and then lay it on top and not be concerned with the edges, because again the fabric will cover, or the feathers rather, will cover everything, and it's going to look so much better. So then this is me hot gluing down the little Cheetos to the big Cheeto. Again, this gives the wings some height. You want to do it, make sure you're not gluing over the holes. So you may not be able to see, but there are holes that I punched in through the fabric for where the strings go for your little backpack pieces. So yeah, so make sure you don't cover that up, but you want to glue these down, make sure they're nice and secure. Now it is time for the feathers. Probably the most rewarding part of this was laying out the feathers. It was a really fun kind of thing to do, just playing around with placement and everything. I did use, the feathers came with 20 in each pack, and that's including the ones from AliExpress and Amazon, and I ended up using most, if not all. Like, at least, maybe if I didn't use all of them, only like 2 or 3 were left. And I used my bigger ones. So bigger ones came from AliExpress, and then Amazon's were kind of smaller. So I used the AliExpress on the outside, which were the bigger ones, and the Amazon on the inside. I also did a flipped pattern, so I flipped the feathers inward and outward depending on like which way they went. It gives it a more like volume and like fullness, and also like, I don't know what to call it, like it gives it movement and like depth and everything, like to flip them in and out so they're going in different directions, if that makes sense. So I just went through and layered it just to see how I wanted this to look, and at first I didn't think it was looking great, but then I started to put more on and it just started to look so much better. I also have Rooster feathers that I also got from AliExpress, and those helped like accent it really well, and I was really loving it at this point, guys. I was so proud of myself. So this is actually the next day because I was staying up until like past 1 in the morning, I know it was. I'm currently gluing down the feathers, and I just used the hot glue. Using the hot glue ended up being easier. I think some people I think the video that I watched that I modeled this after, she used the industrial glue that I had earlier for my suit, but I ended up just doing this, the hot glue, because it was so much easier and faster. So I would either recommend super glue or hot glue to just do this whole process, because it did make it easier to me, and it did last. Carnival day, no feathers were falling off, everything was secure, everything was lit. So as you can see, I'm just kind of gluing the feathers around, and it'll just be the same process until it's done. Alright, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so happy to finally put it out for you guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.